If your baby never learns to reach across their body, it could affect everything from crawling to handwriting, and you might not even notice it until your baby starts going to school. What if I told you that most of the important milestones for your baby's brain has nothing to do with talking or walking, but with reaching across this invisible line that goes right down the middle of their body? Every time your baby reaches across their body, their brain is literally building bridges that will help them to move, think, and learn, not just now, but throughout the rest of their life. Hi, I'm Cherrick, a pediatric physical therapist, and I show you how to turn simple touch and movement into strength and brain development. Today, we're diving into crossing midline. What it is, why it's essential for your baby's development, when it starts to appear, what it means if it doesn't, and exercises that you can do to help to encourage and foster this super important skill. We'll break it down step by step so that you not only understand the science, but walk away with practical tools that you can start using today. Let's start with what is crossing midline. If you imagine an invisible line running straight down the middle of your baby's body from the top of their head, through their nose, and down in between their feet. Crossing midline is when their hand or a foot crosses this imaginary line to the opposite side of your baby's body. For example, reaching with their right hand to grab a toy on their left side, kicking their left leg to touch something on their right side, looking from the far left to the far right without actually turning their body. This skill matters because it forces the left and right sides of the brain to communicate through a structure called the corpus callosum. Strong midline crossing means better coordination, better balance, and later on, learning skills like reading, writing, and self-care. So why is crossing midline so important? Crossing midline is important because crossing the midbrain fosters brain development. Without midline crossing, your baby may struggle with bilateral coordination, using both sides of their body together. Or they might avoid using one hand across their body, leading to awkward reaching. Or they might also have delays in their fine motor skills, crawling, walking, or sports. Later, they might experience difficulty with tasks like writing or cutting with scissors. Crossing the midline isn't just a motor skill, it's a brain-building skill. So let's talk a little bit about when babies typically begin crossing midline. When do babies cross midline? Between 0 to 3 months. Babies are not yet crossing midline intentionally. Their arms and their legs move symmetrically or randomly. Eyes may track briefly across the center, but not consistently crossing midline. Right around the 4 to 6 month mark, eye tracking improves. Your baby will begin bringing both hands together at midline to hold a toy or their own feet. Rolling from back to tummy starts to cross the midline passively or accidentally. Around 6 to 8 months, babies begin reaching across their body to grab toys. This starts to become much more intentional, and baby might use one hand to touch or pat the opposite knee. Around 8 to 10 months, crawling develops strong midline crossing in arms and legs. Baby may reach across to pick up toys while seated or crawling while they're moving. Midline crossing is stronger and is fully integrated. Baby can reach for food or toys across their body without having to turn completely. Beyond 12 months, more complex movements like turning pages in a book, feeding themselves, stacking blocks, these movements should be smooth and crossing midline effortlessly. By preschool age, it supports early handwriting and dressing. Signs your baby might not be crossing midline well. Baby always uses the same hand to reach, even if it's awkward. They turn their whole body instead of reaching across. They struggle with eye tracking past midline. They avoid twisting movements or they become frustrated with any kind of reaching tasks. If you notice these signs consistently past 10 to 12 months, it may be worth discussing with your pediatrician or seeking the assistance of a pediatric physical therapist. Let's dive into how to encourage crossing midline. Baby crossing midline exercises, midline crossing activities, these are all things that I want you to start doing with your baby. Here are my top exercises and stretches for encouraging midline crossing, and these I've organized by age and stages of development. So between 0 and 4 months, these are foundational, hand to hand, playing, guide your baby's hands together at midline during play. Using high contrast objects and having baby track them from side to side while this toy is in their line of vision. Between 4 and 8 months, I want you to start building awareness with your baby. Toy swap game. Place a toy on one side and encourage them to grab it with the opposite hand. Cue your baby where you have a toy on the right and baby reaches over. Encourage lots of sideline play. Put baby in sideline and position toys just beyond their reach to promote crossing over. Between 8 to 12 months, I want you to start integrating crawling tunnels. Crawling naturally forces arm and leg movements across the midline. Create some fun obstacle courses. Sit and reach. While sitting, I want you to place toys slightly to the opposite side to encourage twisting and reaching. Ball rolls. Sit facing your baby and roll a ball slightly to one side so they have to reach across their body to grab it. These are all fun games and activities to do to promote this type of crossing midline activities. Beyond 12 months, I want you to start looking at things like stacking. Place blocks or cups to one side so that they have to cross repeatedly. You can also incorporate music, hand instruments like tambourines or shakers across their body to grab. Crossing the midline is more than a cute baby trick. It's a fundamental brain-body connection that sets the stage for coordination, balance, learning, and independence. If you work on it through play and everyday activities, you're not just building motor skills, you're building brain wiring for the rest of your baby's life. Let's talk about some activities that you can do with your baby to help your baby to cross midline. And these activities, you can start doing these fairly early on. I'm talking like about 4 weeks after your baby is born and your baby's home. The first activity you can do is put your baby to lie flat on their back on the ground like I have here with baby Annie. And you can just take baby's arms and cross baby's arms across each other. 1, 2. Now, this is a crossing midline activity where you have your baby, the left arm is passing midline and going over into the right side of baby's body, and this will engage baby's brain that the right side of the baby's left arm is moving across the right side of baby's body, and again with the left side doing the exact same thing. So what you're doing is you're crossing midline. This is also a very good stretch for baby, a very nice, easy, relaxed baby stretch where you can hold that position for a couple of seconds and just be stretching your baby in this position. Another activity you can do with baby along the same lines is just crossing the legs across baby's body, crossing the left leg into the right side of baby's body, crossing the right leg over the left side of baby's body. And you can do these, you don't have to do them any special number of times. You can just do this while you're doing a diaper change. After you finish a diaper change, do a couple to each side. Cross the arms, cross the legs, and then you can take it to another level where you can use baby's right arm with baby's left leg, bring them to touch. Do this opposite. Left arm with baby's right leg, bring them to touch each other, and then relax. You can, of course, be talking to your baby, playing with your baby. This is not an exercise. It shouldn't feel like an exercise. It should feel more like purposeful play. A couple of days ago, I was in a daycare and I was looking at an older woman and I was treating a kid off in a corner, and this older woman was working with the babies that she was taking care of, and I noticed her doing this activity. She had baby, and what she was doing was she had baby's right arm and baby's left leg, and she was doing a movement kind of like this. Boo-doop, ta-da, boo-doop, ta-da, boo-doop. And I looked at her and I smiled a little smile to myself. I didn't say anything to her, but I was curious, does she know that she's doing a cross brain activity with that baby, where she was moving the opposite leg and the opposite arm together, making a similar kind of movement, crossing midline. Now, like I said, you can do this with a baby from as young as about 3 to 4 weeks old. As your baby gets older, once your baby is like 3 to 6 months, and baby begins to develop some more skills, baby begins to develop the ability to sit with support. Even if your baby is sitting and you have to support your baby, what you can do is cue baby to begin reaching across midline. So hold, even if you're holding baby up, you can use an object. You want to use a brightly colored object like this one, like this brightly colored ring. Even if you're supporting baby with one arm, you can have the object and have baby reaching across midline with the other arm. And then do the same thing with the opposite arm. You can also encourage baby to kick at a toy, kick at an object, again, crossing midline. And these very simple activities that you can do with your baby will help to enhance the connections between the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere of your baby's brain. And this will prove beneficial later on down the road as baby begins to develop more and more skills. Things like handwriting, creeping, crawling, rolling over to both sides will also continue to enhance that communication between the right and left side of baby's brain. Another activity that you can do with your baby that helps with this cross midline activity is lay on your baby on their back and then roll baby onto their side. So if you lie on the ground and put your baby to lie on baby's side, kind of like this, roll baby onto their side, what you can do is just cue baby to, one, lift the head up, and cue baby to lift her head up off the ground. If your baby's neck is not strong enough when you start doing this activity, you can have a pillow or a towel under baby's head so the baby's head is level. And you can lay there and hang out with your baby, put baby on side. You can have baby reaching for your face and touching your face while you're talking to baby in an intimate way. But you can also have toys that baby can reach for and pick up and play. And now baby is really crossing midline in a very relaxed kind of manner over here. Let me move to the other side so that you can see baby facing this way. If you lay down and have baby reaching, roll baby onto her side and have baby on her side reaching and grabbing and picking up toys, playing with toys, this too is crossing midline. So you want to make sure that you're doing it to both directions. You want to do it to both sides. So those are some activities that you can do with your baby to assist your baby to cross midline. And these play a major role in brain-body connection, just getting your baby going, the right side of baby's brain talking to the left side of baby's brain. Okay? If you found this podcast helpful, give the episode a like, share it with another parent, and subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. We'll be talking about how crawling and midline crossing work together to boost brain development. I'll talk to you in the next video.